This is Simon Simpson from BYU-I Radio. This week, Republican Representative Marco Erickson from Idaho Falls joins us to talk about main issues in the legislature, potential Medicaid cuts, and his plans for the rest of the legislative season. Our first question that we've been asking people is what is your main priority for this legislative season?
Well, obviously, my main priority is figuring out how to reconcile the Medicaid budget. I'm trying really hard to figure out ways to restore the 4% cuts that were to the providers and to also restore services that have been lost and to protect further cuts. Quote thing to pull off.
And what would you say is the main issue that you see happening either in the legislative season, this session, or what do you see as maybe the biggest hurdle to overcome?
Well, it's the tax conformity bill that we're getting from the federal government and figuring out. And so they're working out the details on the tax conformity, which I think is why it's been a little slower as far as bills moving across from one body to the other. They've been being introduced. There just hasn't been as many hearings. And everybody's aware that there's probably not a good idea to bring anything with a budget attached to it because it's really difficult to find money right now. So that's kind of where the main conversations have been.
And in this legislative session, is there any bills that you haven't introduced or are planning on introduce to put to a vote?
Yeah, actually, I'm the only one so far that's had two bills get voted on in the House and move over to the Senate. So they haven't had any other bills voted on other than they've had memorials. There was two memorials or resolutions and my two bills, and all the rest have not moved yet. So for some reason, I was able to do that pretty quick. I don't know why, but I just that's what I did. I moved them early, and I have more getting ready right now. But for now, the first two went through. One was on adding suicide intervention into the Good Samaritan law. So just an everyday citizen, in case they ever did come upon somebody that might be thinking of harming themselves, they could intervene and they aren't at risk of getting sued for that. And then another one was just adding a person to the post council to represent the people that are getting services from the police and also the detention centers and things like that locally in the county. And we just wanted to have more representation on that board. So I added a member of that board. It wasn't a big bill, but it happened, but it's still those two bills I got through early.
And something that we've been asking representatives and senators is what would you say is the best way for your constituents to get involved in the legislative process?
Well, I give out my cell phone so they can reach me at any time. And most of the time, I try to answer their phone call live, but sometimes if I'm super busy during session, it's just best to text me, set up an appointment, and come visit with me directly, or set up a phone call. Because during session, I'm really swamped. My schedule's really tight. But during the rest of the year, anytime they want, I'm always available to talk to people and hear them out.
And we did want to get your comment on a proposed bill from Representative Hill where it would incur fines for cities that were flying flags that weren't officially recognized by the state. What's your opinion or comment on that proposed bill?
I haven't had time to look at what's in the language of that bill, so I really can't comment on it at this time. I'm sure it'll come to a vote when it gets through, and I'll hear more of those arguments as we move forward. But I've seen what some of the media have reported, but I really haven't had a chance to look at the language and how it affects everybody, so I'm not the best for commenting on that one. I've been focused so much on health and welfare issues in the last few weeks, so haven't had a chance to look at that.
And again, we really appreciate your time, Representative Erickson. Is there anything else that you would like to share, either with your constituents or anything that you're excited for with the remainder of the season, or anything else that you would like to add?
Well, as I've mentioned in the media last few months, I've been working on trying to fix some of the problems that came out in the media with the prison system and the women getting abused in the prison system. So there'll probably be a bill coming forward with that. We're also looking at a distribution system for the products that have entered into our tobacco products like vapes and Zins and those kind of things, a way to have them come through a proper channel of distribution and maybe tax them, since we haven't been getting the tax on that. That's a potential bill that could come forward. We're not sure, but it would generate some revenue to help with some of the school stuff that's and prevention efforts and mental health stuff in health and welfare. And also some of the general fund. So there would be some revenue generated from something like that, which we aren't doing currently, which most states are. There's about 34 other states already doing that. And then also there will be some stuff to protect the children in the mental health facilities, because I always work on things related to families and mental health and protecting people from bad things happening to them. So we had some reports that things happen inside mental health facilities. So we're just kind of making sure that we give the Youth Bill of Rights, and we have some legislation that should be coming down for that too. So stay tuned, and some good things happening. Everybody's working hard, the whole building and various topics, and hopefully those things will all come down, those positive things. I like those ones because they're fun to talk about.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.